I hate study videos with a passion. These internet NPCs will literally convince you that the only thing standing between you and a 4.0 GPA is some overhyped study technique. This was me when I entered high school. I had no friends and straight C's in middle school. 4 years later, I graduated with a 4.0, I got into my dream school, and my jawline looks like it was cut from marble. God damn. The motto of this video is work smarter, not harder. Whether you just want to finesse a 4.0 GPA or actually retain the content, being able to learn material better, faster, and in a way that optimizes your grades is the absolute key to succeeding in this education system. Let's start by talking about study techniques. There is no single study technique that works for everyone except for active recall. You might already know what active recall is, but in simple terms, it's just when you force yourself to recall a piece of information from the material that you studied in a way that tests your actual knowledge of it. You're recalling it from your memory. So for example, testing yourself with flashcards where one side is a vocab word and then the other side is the definition, that is an example of active recall. Passive recall is like when you read a textbook but passively. The information literally enters your eyes, but then it never somehow makes it to your brain to stick. If you're going to be studying from a textbook, you want to try to quiz yourself as you're reading to make your studying as active as possible. Now, the thing about getting good grades in high school and college is understanding how classes are laid out. You can't study for a math class the same way you would study for an English class because they aren't the same. Your math class requires that you memorize specific formulas, while your English class is very likely to just be based off of projects and homework. Because of this, let's divide the classes that you're taking into two types of courses. There are test-oriented classes, and then there are homework-oriented classes. Most STEM classes, so like biology, physics, math, have mainly tests, while humanities courses like English and history are predominantly based on assignments, essays, etc. For test-oriented classes, here is the most straightforward tip I can give you. Practice problems are your best friend. The more relevant practice problems you're able to do for your math or physics or chemistry class, the better your grades will be. Now, sometimes you can't just jump knee deep into practice problems or homework because you have no clue what's going on in class. Maybe you're a little bit lost. I got you. What you're going to do is find an organic chemistry tutor video on the exact topic that you're struggling with. And this works for anything, for math, for physics, for chemistry, and then you're going to actively watch it all the way through. This guy is the GOAT. When I say actively, I'm going to give you a little bit of context for what I mean. If you've never seen an organic chemistry tutor video before, this guy's amazing. Basically what he does is he gives a little bit of explanation on like the topic at the start, and then the majority of the video, like 80+%, is just giving practice problems. He gives you a problem and then he solves it. So what you're going to do is you're going to see the problem, pause the video, try to solve it as far as you can on your own, and then watch him do it. Once you go through these problems, and typically you can just go through the majority of the video, they're not that long, then go ahead and start your homework or the practice problems you want to do from like your teacher that are going to help you on your test. Now, some classes don't necessarily have practice problems. For example, a biology class isn't exactly math based. Here's what you do. Start by just understanding the bigger concepts. The Feynman technique is basically where you take a concept and explain it in much more simple terms. Do that wherever possible. It basically helps with like your understanding of things, and whenever applicable, you can also integrate this into your notes so that when you go back and read them, even though you're not in class and you don't have your like teacher explaining everything, you understand what's going on. If this means that you have like analogies written into your notes or other little tricks, little acronyms that help you understand how things work, do it all. Literally, your goal here is to do what works for you. So for me personally, I feel like analogies are really helpful when I'm understanding like more complex biology or like psychology concepts. So I always make sure to include these in my notes so that when I come back to it later, I know what's going on. I get that instant reminder. When you also take the time to come up with these things on your own and you're not just copying someone else's, it really deepens like your level of understanding and your ability to just memorize what's going on in the concept. For everything else that you just have to brute memorize, so I'm talking definitions, theories, formulas, make a Quizlet slide deck with your friends and then just power through it. The more often you spam the Quizlet deck, and especially closer to your exam, so like the morning before your exam or a couple minutes before your exam, the fresher the content will just be in your mind. That's how your brain works. I actually used to make paper flashcards for a long time in high school. I just felt like writing down the definitions and the words on the flashcards helped me get a better understanding. But the advantage of using a software like Quizlet is that when you put in a vocab word, it'll even auto-generate definitions for you. So it's way faster for you to just get the deck going and then start your studying. I have another tip here that I think is extremely important, but I feel like people never mention this. It's the fact that when you're in school, Your goal should be to pay attention as closely to what your teachers in these test-based classes are talking about. The next time you're at school in your math class, look around you in the classroom. The majority of people are either checked out or they have no clue what's going on. Your teacher will literally be solving like a practice problem on the board, and most people have their notebook and pencil out, but they're not even doing it along with them. What you have to understand is that if you want to minimize the amount of time that you actually spend studying outside of school, you want to do your best to pay attention in class and do everything that your teacher is doing. All of the warm-ups, practice assignments, any practice problems they give you in class, do them. If you don't understand them, ask questions, learn, and keep that going every single class. I will give you advice later in this video for what to do if you're either behind on material or you just hate paying attention in class, but understand that if you're able to keep up with the content as the course is moving, once the test comes around, you could probably get at least an 80% without even studying, and if you just do a little bit of review, you can easily cross that 90 to basically a near 100% mark. I hate to put it this way, but no matter how difficult you think your courses are in high school, you're taking your AP Biology, AP Math class, at the end of the day, these AP courses are designed for high school students. Sometimes you get a bad teacher, I get it, they don't explain the concepts very well, or they give you these crazy difficult tests, but the majority of the time, people complain a little bit more about the teacher than what might actually be fitting. Give your teacher the benefit of a doubt. Even if all of your friends hate them, pull up to class with an intention to learn, take some notes, focus up, try not to get distracted, obviously put your phone and stuff away, and then see how you perform on that first unit test after a month of just paying attention in your math class and following along with everything that they're doing. Let's switch gears to classes that are mainly about homework. Now, these classes are a gift and a curse. On one hand, an easy test-based class like we were talking about is generally going to be much quicker to get an A in, because as long as you know the material for the test, whether you study 1 hour or 50 hours outside of class, your teacher doesn't care. All they care about is how you perform on the exam. So if the material is easy, a test-based class will just be a free A. However, for homework-based classes, technically, you should never get less than an A because everything you turn in is controlled by you. If you turn in a trash essay, it shouldn't be completely unexpected when you get a C back. Now, obviously, I've been in high school. I know that some teachers are just devious with their grading. They literally act like giving you an A is coming out of their paycheck. But let that slide for a second and let's just take a moment to imagine a scenario. Imagine that you're in English class and we have a paper on Lord of the Flies due in 2 weeks. Here's what we are going to do. First of all, if you're actually struggling in the class, read the book or whatever text that you're supposed to be reading. If the reading is way too long or difficult, at least read part of it. Like, give it an attempt that goes beyond just going online and looking at the Spark Notes. Trust me, your analysis will be at least 10 times better if you have some context for the book or what the writing is actually like. We said that you had 2 weeks to turn in your essay, and typically the way that teachers give out assignments, if you actually notice in school, they give out the assignments like before a weekend. So what we're going to do is spend that weekend working, and then within 4 to 5 days, have a good quality essay draft that's basically ready to turn in. This is how you finesse the system. All the other people in your class are bums and procrastinators. They will never understand what we are about to do. Take your essay, go to your teacher, and then ask for some advice about it. If they're willing to just give you a full-fledged like review along with feedback, that is the best case scenario here. Worst case, just ask them about your thesis or maybe something about like one of your body paragraphs, and then take notes on the exact feedback that they give you. Now, obviously, in general, the advice is going to be good. It's your teacher, they have a major in the field, and they're there to help you. But we're playing a deeper game than that. When your teacher gives you inputs, they're getting personally invested into both you and your work. If you take their feedback on the weakest part of your essay and then change it up, turn it in, how can they possibly score you down for that because you just did what they told you to do? Now, on top of that, your assignments also don't have blind grading. When your teacher pulls out your essay, they know it's you. So naturally, the closer you get with your teacher, the better grades you're going to receive. And it's not that you're out here like, oh, the teacher's only giving best grades to the students that they like, but it's the fact that in a class like English, for instance, or history, the way that they grade is subjective. It's a piece of writing. They're trying to analyze your argument or the way that you write, if they like you, it's only going to help your case. Teachers don't feel bad giving a B or a C to that one lonely kid who never speaks up in class and they've never interacted with them because they don't have a face and a personality to that kid. They don't understand the level of effort that they might be putting into or what's going on behind the scenes, but for you, they do. You are not going to be that kid, you are going to be yourself and a fantastic student. Once you incorporate this round of feedback, your essay should be done within about a week, and then you're chilling. You can do whatever you want. The whole point of working early, especially at the start of the year, is to impress your teachers, stay on top of your work, and if they actually give you some serious feedback, like you have to make a big structural change or something to your thesis that changes your body paragraphs, you have enough time to make that change and still submit a very, very high quality essay that will get good grades. The other type of homework that you'll have in pretty much most classes is the daily homework assignments. Do a decent job on these and then turn them in on time. Typically your teacher is just looking to see completion here, so as long as you've turned it in and you did a solid job, you're good enough. The best advice I have here is to try to finish as much of this as you can during class time. If you can get the entire homework out of the way during school hours, or at least you only have 2-3 problems when you get back home, you will feel so much less stressed and you'll have so much more time to just do other things. Now, if your teacher is the type of teacher to get mad when they see you doing the post-class homework during class, I know a lot of math teachers can be like this, then honestly what I recommend is that instead of just trying to sneak it in, just don't do it at all. Doing the problems during class is just genuinely not worth having your teacher hate you. Remember, we're playing a psychological game too. When teachers don't like you or it's just clear that you don't care, it makes your life so much harder. Trust me on this one. I'll tell you the honest truth, if you want to have motivation in the long run, it needs to come internally. Maybe you're really interested in the class, you have a genuine passion for a subject, and so you show up with the intention to learn. That's how you're actually going to stay motivated in the long run. However, I also understand that the school system, especially in a high school, pretty much strips any enjoyment you could have for a particular topic away by just shoving homework and assignments down your throat when you really don't want to be doing them. If you want a very crude way of getting instant motivation for the next 2 months, I have something for you. This method will literally allow you to turn on your motivation like it's a water tap faucet. You know what's one of the best motivators of all time? Social praise. I don't care how mature or distant you think you are, when you get praised in front of other people, it makes you feel good. Keep that in mind. If you want motivation, you need to make your studying into a competitive game. Literally think about the people in your class that you either don't like or you just want to outscore on the next test. I don't recommend thinking about your friends this way because they genuinely do care about you and it's kind of toxic, but think about the ops in your class. Keep them in your mind. Use them as a way to get yourself going. Every time you're being lazy, they're out there grinding. Every time that you're watching Netflix, they're doing a practice test or reviewing some problems for the upcoming exam. This is super toxic and probably not great for your mental health in the long run, but it got me a 4.0 during my hardest semester academically in junior year, so I'm giving it the stamp of approval because it does work. I want to congratulate you as a viewer for getting this far because we are now entering the unfiltered section of the video. So pretty much by this point, everyone with the low attention span, all the TikTok users, all the NPCs, they've all clicked off of the video. So if you're watching this right now, you basically get access to my special set of tips that I don't want everyone to be able to know. This is only for the select real ones on my channel. If you want to improve your memory, the rate at which you're studying, pretty much everything about your life, you have to sleep more. Now, when you're in high school, you're still developing and growing. Ideally, you can actually get in 9 hours of sleep a day, or at least on the weekdays get in 8 hours and then catch up a little bit on weekends. Sleeping itself is not an unproductive thing. Don't let other people in high school convince you. I remember every time you go to school, people make it almost somewhat of a joke or a bragging thing to basically be oh, I'm functioning on 3 or 4 hours of sleep. No. That is a major L. These people are complete losers. And secondly, they're also just straight up capping. They will literally get 7 hours of sleep and then wake up and come to school and just lie. Don't listen to them. Sleeping 8 to 9 hours is genuinely going to get you 4.0 GPA. What's unproductive is when you go to bed at 4 a.m. and then wake up at 1 p.m. Yeah, that's not worth your time to be sleeping 9 hours like that. But if you go to bed at a decent time, right? Let's say on a weekend. I'm being pretty reasonable here. Let's say you get to bed by 11:30 and you wake up at 8:30 to 9 a.m. You got a good quality 9 to 9.5 hours of sleep. and you woke up at like a somewhat reasonable productive time, that's good enough. Like, that is a reasonable schedule. Now, sometimes, and especially this is when you get deeper into high school, right? You're in like your 11th, 12th grade, you are going to have to stay up grinding a little bit. And sometimes it's because you have a test the next day and you just need to get a little bit of extra time to prepare in. I want to put you on another strategy that I don't want you to abuse. I'm going to make that very clear, but it's something that you should be aware of because in certain occasions, it's going to be beneficial to you. In high school, class attendance is technically not mandatory. If you miss a day of class, all you have to do is have your parents call in and say that you were sick, and boom, you're excused. And even if you're not excused, what changes? Is it impacting your college application? Is it impacting your grades? No. So let's say that you have a test in your second period class, and that class starts at 9 a.m. Imagine that you end up staying up until, let's just say 1 a.m. studying for this exam. Does it make sense to go from staying up until 1 a.m. to waking up again at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., whatever time you have to get up for school, and then going to class, staying up all the way through that first class where you're distracted, you're trying to pay attention and take notes to what the teacher's saying, but nothing is going in, and you're probably going to spend that class time just studying for this test anyways? Or could you hypothetically skip that first period class, take the time to sleep a little bit more, and then get up at home, do a thorough review in the comfort of your own bedroom, and then go to school and take that test while you're fully equipped and ready? Obviously, that second pathway makes a little bit more sense, especially if that test genuinely matters for your grade. Don't start skipping all of your classes, 2 times, 3 times a week just because you have an exam here or there. But when it truly matters and it's crunch time, skipping a class to make your actual goals academically and actually get your grades up is totally in your favor. Also, maybe a touch unethical, but it's up to you what you want to do. If you have genuinely not prepared for a test at all, and you know that if you show up that day to class, you're going to fail it, you know what? If you happen to hypothetically get COVID and have to stay home sick and then end up getting an extra 2 days to study and prepare for the test, all I'm saying is use those extra 2 days very wisely and effectively. Also, have an actual routine when you come home from school. Like, when you come home, don't just boot up your laptop, start watching YouTube videos, and then never get around to your homework until like 9 p.m. Have some kind of a routine and then actually stick to it. We use the word discipline a lot in our society, but I feel like to some extent, it's just lost its meaning. Discipline is when you get up and you do the hard work when you don't feel like doing it. Those 1 or 2 days a week when you come back from school, you're exhausted, you're tired, but you actually just brute force your way through it. You stick to the routine. That is discipline, and that is the skill that you should be building throughout high school. And then from an actual in-school front, I want to touch on this. Continue to foster good, healthy relationships with your teachers throughout the school year. Email them when you have questions, talk to them about your concerns, be friends with them. This isn't about manipulation, it's about genuinely being a good student and showing your teachers that they care. Think about how many people come in and out of school and give your teachers zero appreciation or respect. You know the kids who show up to class and just play Clash Royale or some random computer game in the back. They never pay attention in class, and even if they go on to get A's, how do you think your teacher feels about all of that? Just keeping that in mind, be respectful and be a good student. If you need some kind of an extrinsic motivation, even for something like this, just keep in mind that you will get rewarded for it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you implement the things in this video and you don't get a 4.0, send me your homework on Instagram after you follow me and I will literally do it for you. Thank you all for watching. This has been Pratik. Peace.